And Walid, what I think many don't understand is that just as Judaism and Christianity have a messianic expectation, there's a messianic expectation that fuels Islam.
In fact,
talk about that a little bit.
That's the key that made me see the truth. I began to see the Antichrist of the Bible as the Messiah of Islam, because the Messiah of Islam, or the Mahdi in this case, which both Shia and Sunni are awaiting, how do we recognize him as Muslims? He will bring 7 years of peace. When I read Daniel, who brings 7 years of peace? You know, he will come with a military from Asia Minor, the Turks, and the Persians. That's the Gog and Magog battle, Ezekiel 38. And Muhammad said, every Muslim shall go and join that army against Israel, even if they have to crawl through snow. He will attempt to change all the laws to establish Sharia law, Islamic Sharia law. Islam is not simply a religion. It is a constitution to be established throughout the whole world. You know, in fact, if I may share...
That's important. This is not a religion. This is a constitution.
When they read Daniel, Westerners, when they read Daniel of the Antichrist, they think he is an atheist. It doesn't say that at all. What it says is extremely interesting. He shall neither regard the God of his fathers, the gods of his ancestors, and he will desire, nor the desire of women. In other words, he doesn't honor women at all. That's exactly Islamic Sharia law.
Exactly.
Women has half the right of the man. Nor regard any God, for he shall exalt himself above them all. He is, basically wants to be the God of this world. But in their place, he shall honor a God of fortresses, a God of war. It's exactly what we were talking about.
Exactly.
Jihad is honoring the God Allah and advancing the God Allah by war, through war, to advance this foreign God. And
that is so clear.
And a God which his fathers did not know. And then look what it says. It says, thus, in verse 39, thus he shall act against the strongest fortresses. He will declare war against the strongest, mighty military countries in the world. In other words, they're not the strongest.
There's where the U.S. may be mentioned in Scripture.
Exactly.
Well, we only have a minute left, and I need you to respond to something else before we finish. Israel.
Yes.
Why is it important for America to stand with Israel? And then I want you to finish off talking about what people watching can do about all this.
Well, in Joel 3, it's very clear. It says, it talks about God gathering the nations and judging the nations. I will gather all nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the amazing judgment of the Messiah. And then I will enter into judgment with them there on the account of my people, my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land. It's very clear. And then he continues talking about the division of the land of Israel, creating a Palestinian state. I call it the state of psychosis, Jonathan. It's not a state. And then he continues and he challenges Lebanon in the same verses. Who are you to contend with me, O Tyre and Sidon and all the coasts of Philistia? There is Lebanon, Hezbollah, and there is Philistia, Gaza, which the Messiah himself is warring against when he comes, and he judges these two. Those two nations are part of Psalm 83. Tyre and Philistia and Ishmaelites and the Hagarites, all of these are Muslims. So, and then you see the casting of all these entities into the pit in Ezekiel 28 all the way to 31. And by the time you read what's in the Bible regarding Lucifer, you find out he is the Lord of the dawn. You know, in Islam, I memorized the Quran. I mean, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, say, I seek refuge of the Lord of the dawn, son of the morning. It's the same descriptions of Lucifer that is in the Bible, that is the description of Allah in the Quran. Some of the names of Allah in the Quran. Al-Makir, the greatest of all deceivers. Al-Mutakabbir, the most proud one. Al-Mumit, the one who causes death. Who's the one that caused death in the garden? So, you know, you begin to see that the antithesis of what's in the Bible is in Islam. Islamic eschatology, very much. Somebody took the biblical prophecies, tweaked them. In the end result, Israel is destroyed. Even Zechariah 12 and 14, I will gather all nations into the valley. You know, and he will gather all the nations against Jerusalem.
Fascinating.
And Muhammad clearly said it, you know.
Fascinating stuff.
We have two choices. We either stand with Antichrist spirit or we stand with the spirit of God. Believers cannot be on the side of Antichrist and the side of Christ at the same time. If God says Jerusalem for the Jews, and you say, well, Jerusalem for the Arabs, which side are you on? You're on the side of Antichrist. You can't be serving Satan and Molech and serving God. You either serve God or you serve the adversary.
And what can we do about this?
What we can do is become active, become proactive. Don't complain. Don't sit there on the television and complain about what's going on in the media. Be proactive. Go out there and make the media. Don't respond to the media. Yes. Create the media. We can win this battle. If only the remnant, if only God's people will rise up and do something. God is not looking for numbers. David was not numbers. He was only a single person who went in the name of God and he, destroyed Goliath. And it was precision bombing, Jonathan. So in the end, it'll become precision bombing, either by us changing this country. And ex-President Carter is lying to you when he says Christianity is not about being involved in politics. If it's not about being involved in politics, why did he write Palestine, peace, not apartheid? Only he is allowed to be involved in politics, while the sheep are not allowed to be involved in politics. That's the goal of these liberal Christians who claim to be Christians, but really are cloaked with the sheep, and inside of them the renovous wolves.
Well, Walid, you are a choice vessel, and thank God that he has called you and is using you so powerfully. We'll be praying for you and keep up the good work. Walid Shoebat, everybody.